So here we are with Miss Sophia Salazar, and she gave a wonderful recital in the perf, as we call it. I like to always start with the question, how does it feel to be on the other side of your recital?
I feel very relieved.
That's what most people say.
I'm proud of myself for doing it, and I'm grateful that even through all of the COVID craziness that I was able to have some sort of live performance.
Absolutely. And you had a wonderful collaborative pianist, Dr. Eric Thompson. And I think you really wanted that experience of being able to be the leader in the event, right? And not have to kind of time yourself to what someone else had chosen. It was very effective for you, and it was a very successful recital. So, what is the first thing that you remember saying to yourself after the recital was over?
I think just I did it. It
Good.
was internal screams and I did
But you're
it.
not an external screamer, are you? At least you haven't let me see that side of you. I would love to see that side of you sometime, actually. So, internal screams of joy, I love that.
Yeah.
That's quotable. Really great. I'm really happy to hear that. That's one of my goals is that you finish with a sense of joy for the accomplishment. How about learning all that music? You had some really beautiful choices in your recital, and you took the lead on many of your repertoire choices. So, talk to me about the music.
I remember a lot of those pieces I chose on accident, or,
Really?
or I would look up Fore and I would just kind of listen to um, singers who fit my voice type, like Barbara Bonney or Dawn Upshaw, um, or Kathleen Battle, and I would listen to them. Like, oh, that's how I found the second Charles Ives piece that I sang, "The World's Highway." I kind of accidentally clicked on a Dawn Upshaw recording, and I was like,
Right.
oh,
Right. Very good.
yeah.
You know what's funny? That song, not just that song, but I'm going to post this on Facebook. Teachers go through a a senior repertoire roulette where your songs spin and spin and spin in our heads until you just want to shoot yourself because it's like, please stop. That song has been one of the ones from your program. I will wake up in the morning and I've been singing it all night. I feel like I could sing that song now. But it was absolutely a wonderful choice. And did not know the piece, and I'm a big Ives fan. I used to do a lot of Ives, and there's a lot of Ives to perform. So kudos to you. I just want to dig in there a little bit more with your repertoire because it just was so you for me. It didn't feel like something I had put on you and made you do. It really felt like you. So what draws you to a certain piece, do you think? Are there certain elements that draw you?
I think, and I realized while I was picking my dress that I couldn't wear blue because it didn't match with a lot of the romance. Of,
Oh, that's
so
adorable.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of funny. I think I really like schmaltzy, if that makes,
Yes.
and I think that's what I'm drawn to. And I realized that when running through my program, and I was like, oh, these are very schmaltzy and sweet.
Well, in my era, schmaltzy meant over the top, like cheesy, but I know exactly what you mean. Because you love the romantic period and you love the expressive quality of the phrase that swells. So, in my eyes, that's a very good thing. And absolutely, it all had a lot of heart in it, didn't it? And it all had this expansive quality and a simplicity that could be expanded. Really good, really good. What was the most important thing that you learned from preparing and performing your recital? So let's talk about you were aware of the recital from perhaps your second semester of your junior year, right? And what do you think? What was the growth that happened there?
I think letting go.
Hmm.
I think just getting up there and just letting it happen, um, and character work. I'm not a huge actor, but and that was something that I knew I wanted to work on and really improve on by the time of my recital.
Great. And see, what I found fascinating with you and with several of my students who would not consider themselves actors first, in other words, more introverted personalities, right? A little bit hesitant to go there, shall we say. What I found is that we didn't really have to work on that once you felt sort of sure of yourself and we got past the hearing. I mean, to a certain extent, it already started showing up in the hearing, which was great. But wow, after the hearing, you felt like you could do that. And that is something as a teacher that was very gratifying for me is that when you've put in the work, even if things aren't perfect, even if things aren't what you think other people are going to expect to see and hear, there's this, it's got to come from a sense of confidence and joy, or it just doesn't happen, does it? And you did it. You absolutely did it. So that brings me to the actual experience of being on that stage, knowing you're being filmed. Dr. Thompson is there. This is it. What were the best moments for you in your recital?
I I really liked doing Devieni because it may have been, I guess, the peak of my character. Well, maybe not the peak of my character because Je te veux was a lot. Um, but
It
um,
just required more, didn't it?
yeah, um, and I think that piece really, I really, really focused on the words that I was singing, and um, I knew what I was saying as I was singing, which isn't always the case. Sometimes I kind of just know the feeling of a phrase,
Right,
but that song in particular, I pretty much knew exactly what I was singing the whole time,
right,
and it really helped me stay in character. And I could
right,
see everything. I could see the garden,
right,
go over there.
right. Okay, wonderful. And what about moments of just pure music? What were your favorite notes? What were your favorite pieces as far as kind of being in the zone and feeling, oh, I love the way I sang that. Hopefully, I'm not setting you up because I feel like you brought me there, so surely you were there.
Definitely in Marienlied,
Yeah.
that, and I also in Le Rose di Span, there were moments where I was just able to let go and it felt really nice.
Have you had a chance to look at the recital since you did
Mhm.
it? Good. I think it'd be a good idea for you to do it again in a few months. And I think there'll be some real surprises when you are more and more and more and more an audience participant because you're still sort of living the actual event right now. Very good. Okay. It seemed like a very calm presentation. In other words, it came from a very confident place, I feel, and that gave it a sense of calm. And I didn't get any sense as your teacher that there were any surprises, so I was curious about that. In looking back on these last 3.5 years, what was your biggest aha moment in applied voice in our lessons together?
I think, I don't know if it's an aha moment, but I think when I found my voice and I wasn't trying to sound like someone else, I just
Great.
accepted who I am and I'm happy, and I realized, or I liked the way I sounded.
That's really important. Can you talk a little bit more about that experience? Like, what are the thoughts that go through your head when you think, it's okay to just use this sound?
Mhm. I guess the journey to getting there was singing with what I thought was an ugly, an ugly, nasally,
Right.
um, brassy kind of
Right.
sound. Yeah, was the journey to get there, and then just um, shaping it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the voice that you thought was the your voice before all of that?
I think less bright,
Uh-huh.
maybe lower.
Lower, yeah. Well, sure, that makes sense. I think that happens to a lot of women, particularly a lot of high sopranos, is coming to terms with singing that high because we don't talk up there. So, um, if you could give the freshman you one piece of advice about taking applied voice, about maybe, if I may, steer it in this direction, finding your authentic sound, what would that piece of advice be?
Trust what Miss Vassian tells you from the second she tells you, because it's true.
I did not make you say that, did I?
Yep.
What makes it hard to trust your teacher? What do you think that is? I'd be just really curious to know that so that it would help me help people find it sooner.
I think it comes from just thinking that you know, and it's like, well, no, because I hear it this way. So
Right.
how could that be true? And
Because we don't hear ourselves the way others hear us. Is that right? Yeah.
yeah,
Great. I love that answer. Did everybody hear that? Just trust Ms. Vassian. Just trust her. Listen, you trusted me in time, and that made a lot of difference, and we had a lot of fun together with all of that, didn't we? I do remember the freshman year. You would just kind of go whenever we got because I was trying to work your low register, right? Would you agree that working that low register helped you trust a fuller and brighter sound going up? It's a surprise to a soprano, isn't it? That in order to get that high stabilized, you really have to work on the low register. What about other aspects of your career at Texas State? What were the most meaningful for you?
um, my choral methods class with Dr. B. I think that is something I will always take with me. Of course, I need it for teaching, but
Right.
she really taught a lot of meaningful things that myself and a lot of us will always take with
I have
us.
many students that are saying that same thing. Can you share one thing that she gave to you that, you're going to take with you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was she always constantly reminded us that it's not about you. What you're doing is for your students. So anytime you think you're thinking about yourself, stop and remember that it's about your students and
Really good.
for their sake. Yeah.
That's wonderful. We have so many students that in their interview tell us when we ask them, well, why Texas State and why music studies? And they often tell a story of a mentor that saw them in a way that no other faculty at their school saw them, that they felt seen, and that person helped them to succeed. And of course, um, that is a love of connecting, isn't it? And a love of helping and a love of nurturing. And when we do that through music, it can be really, really effective. So I think the choral methods and all of these classes that help us to grow as a person and a teacher are really, really important. And of course, they play a role in who you are as a solo singer as well. So, what is one of your favorite moments here at Texas State? Or you can name a couple if you like, and it really can be about anything. What are the mountain peak experiences that you've had? Mountaintop.
I think the first one that comes to mind is the fraternity I'm in, Mu Phi Epsilon. We put on recitals, and we had we didn't have one these past 2 semesters because of COVID, but the two we had before then were a lot of fun. We had a meme recital, so we just sang a bunch of weird songs, and that was I think I sang a song at your house. I don't know if you remember, we all
I
got to.
do.
Mhm.
That's adorable. That's I just love that because it's just the joy of making music together, which is such a big part of what brought you here and hopefully what you're going to take with you to your students and to your life as a performer and musician. That's great. Anything else come to mind?
My theory, my theory two class, the professor, he's not teaching here anymore. He retired the year after, but his name was Ken Stevenson, and a lot of us had him. And he was really quirky and funny and like such a dad energy. I
Aw.
He would draw a fire on the whiteboard, put a chair next to it, sit down, and say, "I'm going to tell you all a story." And then it usually somehow related to theory. In a way, he would draw things and like the Wile E. Coyote, like stopping, like running and then stopping before it falls. He was like,
Yes.
"This is a suspension." That's how he taught suspensions in music.
Wow, that's amazing. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, he was wonderful. I had a lot of, and a lot of us who are graduating, um, had a lot of great moments in that class. He was really special.
Do you have any advice in general for our prospective students about Texas State, maybe going to college in general?
I guess get involved, even if you think they're like, oh, it's not for me, or I couldn't do that, or why, maybe I don't have enough time.
Hmm.
I think just always try and go for it. Because you can always say, maybe not, but I
Right.
think it's always good to just try.
Okay. Is there anything that you wish you had tried that you didn't here at Texas State?
The opera.
Aw. Well, I wish you had too, but I understand why not. It's
Yeah.
a lot of commitment, isn't it? But you would have been lovely in that program. All right. So, coming to the end here, where does Sophia Salazar see herself in 10 years?
Teaching, either middle school or high school, or back in school for to get my master's.
Wonderful. And if you do your master's, what are you going to focus on, do you think?
Conducting.
Conducting. Okay. Sophia, is there anything that I didn't cover that you would like to talk about? Anything at all? It's people you'd like to thank, an event that happened, a perspective that you'd like to share?
Well, I would like to thank you.
Oh, I wasn't wasn't fishing for that.
No,
but you're welcome.
thank you for believing in me from day one.
Sure. Absolutely. We may have to cut this part out.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you a story while you're recovering. One of my favorite moments with you was when you and Will were doing that Disney duet.
I remember because I cried that too.
So you and Will were singing, and it was a situation where you sang first and then he sang, if I recall
Yeah,
it correctly, right? And Will, who is at that time was very stoic,
yeah,
right? That's a good word, right? It's a positive word. He was just, the singing was always very expressive, but sometimes it wouldn't show very much on his face. You sang and he smiled and it went beam. It was like headlights and you just lost it. As did we all. We just like, whoa, where did that come from, right? It was such a beautiful moment.
I think everyone who was sitting there cried a little. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, 'cause they're like, wow, yeah,
That was a very, very special moment just to feel exactly how powerful expression can be.
yeah,
And that there's this connection when two people sing together. And I think that's why so many of you came, to Texas State to be conductors and to have choirs and to live your choral music dream. Because I share that with you. There's this sort of addiction to connection, and to connection through harmony and through a larger group that helps us feel better about our flaws, because in the soup of everybody being together we become this thing that we could never become sort of alone, right? And that one moment, that's one of my favorite moments ever. So thank you for that.
Like singing those like Disney songs was kind of like an outlet for me to use like the more nasally that I wouldn't think.
Okay, just for my fellow teachers out there, the only way I could get her to sing with resonance or more forward resonance was to say nasal. Just so you know. Yes. The Disney singing, which is a more musical theater style, validated a sound that you could bring into your classical singing, and it absolutely was the doorway for that for you. So yeah, very good, very good. Well, Sophia, it's been a joy to have you in my studio. We will miss you, and we so support you as you go out into the world to bring joy to your students and to your colleagues. And I encourage you to check in with us and let us know how things are going. Maybe we'll do a series of interviews next year, since I won't have any seniors, about people that have graduated and what they can do, tell us by reflecting back, and what they're learning and everything. I think that would be fascinating. So thank you for your time and for putting everything into it that you did. And yeah, I hope student teaching is a lot of fun for you, and I can't wait to be there, hopefully in person, at your graduation. That would be lovely. Crossing fingers, right? Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.